Well, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom finally released a trailer. And after all this time, really hadn't seen much of the movie. It's kind of unusual. Usually you see, it's certainly behind the scenes stuff and some still images here and there. But for the most part, all we saw was Jason Momoa in this sort of, dark blue version of his Aquaman suit walking around on a mountain. And that was about it. An occasional concept art thing here and there. And then a lot of rumors and a lot of reporting on screen tests that didn't go well and stuff like that. Things leaked out about there was supposed to be a Batman scene in it, or at the very least a Bruce Wayne scene, originally Michael Keaton, because of the shenanigans that were going to result from the Flash movie. And then they scrapped that and decided to put Ben Affleck in those scenes. And then apparently now that's scrapped out as well. And it's just been chopped up to be a standalone Aquaman film, to where if it's successful, and I'm guessing it would have to make another $1 billion like the last one did, and that seems unlikely considering the DC brand as a whole. I mean, I expected some of these films not to do very well. The Flash had quite the obvious scandalous shadow hanging over it, despite all the other problems it was inevitably going to have. But I did not expect it to do as badly as it did. And in Shazam, I didn't expect it to do as badly as it did. And then poor Blue Beetle, which I guess just never really had a chance. So, and seeing the Flash mostly, especially since they did try to market it, they did spend a lot of money on it, like they really thought there was something to this. And then not a whole lot seeming interest in Aquaman, so the odds are it's a bad movie. And if it's worse than The Flash, well, then now from the trailer in and of itself, there's not a lot to tell here about how bad it could be. There were some shots where the CGI didn't look that great, and then you kind of wonder, well, is this the same situation where it just wasn't finished? Like it was with The Flash. And not finished in the sense that the thing kept getting reworked and reshot and all that stuff, and was just James Wan sounds like he's really worn out on the whole thing. And of course the frustrations of whatever it was originally supposed to be, it couldn't be because, and he said we never really knew, does this take place before The Flash? Does it take place after The Flash? And for a while there, I think they did swap the release dates and then change it back, and then finally, okay, it's the last movie. Even though apparently it won't reflect anything to do with that. And it just, if they could edit it down to where it's just this basic story, maybe it'll flow well. The only positive I heard about it from people saying they'd seen the screen test was the best part about it were the scenes between Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson. Of course, it's Aquaman and his brother from the last movie, and that they're forced to team up because of what Black Manta is up to. And of course, Black Manta wanting revenge against Aquaman for the death of his father in the previous movie is the setup for this one. And that's not a bad idea. That's a good deal. And Black Manta is the main villain of the Aquaman mythos. He's like Black Manta is the Joker and or Lex Luthor of Aquaman. And there's some telltale signs here. It looks like the lighthouse home is destroyed. One wonders, does Black Manta kill Aquaman's father in revenge for the death of his own? And there's also a scene, and it says it, Aquaman sort of narrating where his life is now. And apparently he's had a baby, I assume, with Mera. We only get a brief glimpse of Mera. Gee, I wonder why that is. We actually get more scenes of Atlanta. No, that's Nicole Kidman character. That's Aquaman's mother. And one particular scene, which was actually in the teaser, in the trailer, is kind of cut short. But the CGI looks really bad on one particular scene for her. But it probably will still be in the movie. Maybe it was cut out, but after seeing how the Flash looked, and again, all that promotion they spent, Super Bowl ad money on it. Then there's none of that for Aquaman. So I don't know. But again, of course, the constant change of directions about what the setup would be and how they were connected, and now you're trying to take all that away. But I suppose, and it's the only $1 billion movie out of the DCEU. Should it somehow manage to strike gold again, then you would have to say, oh, well, I guess Jason Momoa remains Aquaman, and just say he's in the other universe, the new one that they're developing. And then they get another one. Or they just put Aquaman in his own universe, and it's a standalone. Now, the interesting thing about that, does that possibly create a potential for the other characters to return in their original forms, with the cast members and stuff? Maybe Gal Gadot could show up, or Henry Cavill is. I doubt that Henry will show up, because I think they've burnt the bridge with that guy. Because even James Gunn said, yeah, he got dicked around a lot about So, I don't know. I doubt it. But could there be a third Aquaman film to give it a nice trilogy and just say, well, that's Elseworlds? And that would be something they might have to get fast track on to get done, just for those reasons, for the cash grab, of course, and to stay in good with James Wan and all the like. Because James Wan, they were expanding on this. It was supposed to be the spin-off horror movie stuff and all that with the trench and everything, and they scrapped all of that. Of course, some time ago, took away his Swamp Thing series. And can't be quite the happy camper in all of this, and especially jerking him around on this movie, that by the time it comes out and it's no good, and he's like, well, it could have been, but meanwhile, his Conjuring franchise is still going because it's cheaper to make, and probably not a whole lot of interference there. So I guess there's that. But it's I think it's a long shot that it survives, but at best, probably they could Elseworlds it, and it just gets a third film and kind of wraps up the story. But seeing as how the scenes show, looks like it's trouble at home because of Black Manta taking revenge. There's some sort of the mythology of the Atlanteans and almost like a Lord of the Rings type scenario, and with the baby there, of course. Most notably in the comic book lore is Black Manta killed Aquaman's infant son. I don't know that they will do that in the movie. Maybe they kill his father instead and the baby survives. But that was always the story. And I was thinking, well, that's pretty dark, because they're still treating Jason Momoa's performance is, Jason Momoa with underwater powers. That's how he's playing Aquaman. And there's a lot of comical aspects to it. And then especially the last movie had a lot of that. So suddenly it goes very, very dark. Another thing, I think probably the Patrick Wilson character won't survive either. But and as far as Amber Turd, well, they want to limit that as much as possible. Maybe the baby survives and she does it, because, we don't want that anymore. But since I'm sure they're expecting this will be the end of it, and this is how the DCEU ends. And should it prove successful, they could Elseworlds it. Other than that, I think Jason Momoa's future in DC projects will be Lobo. So it looks okay just on the brief trailer, but there's not enough there to say anything. And of course, as I'm often reminding, trailers can be very deceptive. Bad trailers can foolishly disguise a good movie. Good trailers can lure people in for a very bad movie. So I will, of course, see this film. I've seen the rest of the final DCEU films, and reserve judgment till then. But my expectations are extremely low, which can work in its favor. But so we'll just have to see. Aquaman and the Lost Shared Universe.